Hello and welcome. I am Zabraxi. I picked up gardening, by the way. Yeah, I figure since these episodes take like 2 dang months to come out, I might as well do something to pass the time, and what could require more patience than watching a plant grow? All I really needed was to buy some seeds from someone super trustworthy. I'll take them!
But they are the literal seeds of evil. Are you stupid?
Yeah.
I should warn you. The prophecy says that he who holds the seeds of evil will bear retrospective to the evil of the seeds themselves, and the final wish will be met with the opposite of their desires.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, thanks.
I hope he chokes on an amiibo.
Nothing's really happening with him. You know, I guess I could pass some more time by just playing some Turok 2. That'll be fun. Turok Dinosaur Hunter. Who would have thought that one of the most successful games on a Nintendo 64 would be a Doom-styled shooter where you kill a bunch of dinosaurs, mechs, and aliens? I mean, honestly, in hindsight, it actually makes perfect sense. Developer Iguana and publisher Acclaim were both incredibly successful from the response, both critically and financially, to Dinosaur Hunter. But the success wasn't much of a surprise, really. Sometimes you just know when you're making something great, that once it releases, the successes will still be exciting, but you're confident that what you've made is truly special. And I've never felt that a day in my life. Even before release, Nintendo themselves were getting more and more hype about Turok. According to David Dinespear, project manager for Turok, as the project has become more and more fleshed out, obviously, Nintendo is impressed with it. We've received word that people all the way up to the top at Nintendo are impressed with Turok, and that thrills us. And when it is in the hands of the public to finally play, damn, yeah, this is so cool. This was awesome. We got fun levels, we got cool enemies, we got ridiculous guns, we got unnecessarily brutal sounding death effects that obliterated any childlike innocence. It was great, and we wanted more. Dinosaur Hunter sold over 1 million units back in 1997 and retailed for the low price of only $80. Yeah. 90s money was something else. Turok's success would go so dang far that it became a member of the Player's Choice line of games, a set of titles that were the best selling on the console and would be marked with special packaging. I mean, that's cool and all, but what made Turok really special is that it was the first non-Nintendo published game to join these ranks. Dang. Like, seriously, good job, Iguana Entertainment. Naturally, with a success this wild, we needed a sequel. We needed to give a software company more of our money, or our parents' savings, depending on how old we were. And Turok 2 was coming quick.
Only evil this dark could bring him back. Only a game this big could do him justice. Seeds of evil.
It was set to release the same year as Dinosaur Hunter. The first game released in February of 1997, and its sequel was coming out in December. I can't express how awesome this was. Such a quick turnaround kept the hype alive. Just when you might forget about Talset's adventures in the Lost Lands, you'd better be back at your local EB Games, or Funko Land, or Ames. I don't know if anyone else had this, but at the Ames that I went to as a kid, they had a video game section, but it was like tucked away off in the corner, and the view inside was blocked with all these boxes and curtains and everything. It was like they were ashamed that they sold video games, as they should have been. I remember this time well because I was a big fan of Dinosaur Hunter. I couldn't wait for a sequel, and I knew that Christmas of '97 was going to be a special one. And that day finally came when Turok 2 officially released to store shelves. A year later. Yeah, December of 1998 was finally when the thing came out, with a casual 21-month dev cycle. Holy crap. Game development in the 90s was still mostly a sub-1 year development timeline. Often 9 months was deemed the sweet spot, which is what Iguana was aiming to go for. But hey, We all make mistakes. Sometimes we just tease a bunch of people for a full year and pretend like it didn't instill trust issues into children. Screw you, Iguana Entertainment. You really think you can just do that to me? You think you can do that and get away with it? No, 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 no. I'm gonna play the real Turok 2. The one in the Game Boy Color. After the release of Battle of the Bionosaurs, Studio Bit Managers was back at it again for another port of Turok. And the best part is that they released their game on time, Iguana. The second best part is that while this is titled Turok 2 Seeds of Evil, it's actually its own game with its own storyline completely separate from its N64 counterpart. Yay! I love when ports are more of an original thing than just simply the same story but on more restrictive hardware. This was one of my biggest complaints against Battle of the Bionosaurs. I wish that game was just a bit more of its own thing. The third best thing about Seeds of Evil on Game Boy is that it doesn't have a name like Battle of the Bionosaurs. Like, okay, that title is just kind of dumb, but it doesn't commit to being quite dumb enough. Now, Seeds of Evil, that's the kind of idiotic and pretentious that I can get behind. Bit Managers definitely deserve some recognition that Turok brought to them. You see, the original Turok being the first third-party title to be a part of Player's Choice wasn't the only special recognition that the franchise brought to its development studios. The release of Turok 2 helped Bit Managers become the first third-party developer to release 2 Game Boy Color titles. Their other game was Sylvester and Tweety. Oh, please, someone do a Turok ROM hack of that and put Turok in as Sylvester, please. In the last game, our goal as Tal said was to stop the campaigner from ruling the Lost Land. This time, we're playing a different Turok, named Joshua Fireseed. Ah, yes, I remember in my Native American history class, the stories of the warrior that led the settlers over the Appalachian Mountains, a true hero, a mighty man known as Josh. This great pilgrimage that Josh embarks on starts out in the streets of a city? What? This isn't out in the wild? I mean, I guess they do call all cities concrete jungles, am I right? Who are these guys running around? Do I just dodge them or something? They're not doing anything. Okay, you know what? Let's just punch this guy in. Wait. Does this man have like an invincible cheat on or something? That's not fair. All right, how about this guy? Oh, you too? What's the point if you can't even— Oh my god! No, please leave me alone, please. Oh, jeez, man, dude, talk about a humbling experience. I went from killing a T-Rex with laser eyes and machine gun arms in the last game to getting jumped and robbed by Paul over here. So are these bad guys? Like, only some of them are? How can you tell? Because I don't notice a difference between any of them at all. All I know is that I'm continuing my way through the level and oh, what's in the bag? Oh, I am Turok now, boys. This is it. This is my chance. I'm gonna stab each and every one of you. You're gonna know my name, Josh, when I lay my vengeance upon thee. Oh, looks like that's actually what I was supposed to do. Onward to level 2, and hey, we're back in the jungle. I missed you, old friend. You and your— oh, yo. This music kinda owns. It's from here on out that Turok 2 on the Game Boy Color kind of falls into what you'd mostly expect. That first level is quite an odd introduction, but the rest settles into more of what you really would get from a sequel to Battle of the Bionosaurs. Like, how we get this cliff right in level 2 that makes you take a leap of faith and— oh, come on! We're already doing this again! And it doesn't stop there. The enemy hitboxes are so odd sometimes, and the amount of cheap hits are just as ridiculous as you'll be just trying to make your way through the level and— are you kidding me? I got hit in the toe and died? I don't know if I really want to do it again, you know? Like, after Battle of the Bionosaurs, I already proved that I could do it, so this time around, like, I want something different, you know? Something, like, wild. Something like— oh. Now, this is what I'm talking about, baby. Turok 2 on the Game Boy Color, you sly succubus, you. I'm in it now. Let's do this, boys. Well, you know what they say. Dying on the first jump is next to godliness. Just gotta go through the entire second level to make it back to this point again, and okay, here we go. Second attempt. Yo, okay, made the first jump with ease this time. Did you see that? Easy. Now I just gotta keep doing that, and see, if you jump into that pit there, you die, just so you know. Third time is always the charm, right? Here we go. Yep, nice, okay, moving through here just fine. Now for this big jump, and yeah, oh, what? What? No, did you all see that? Like, I was on the platform and then fell through anyway. All right, finally, on the fourth try, we make it through, and oh, now we're fighting a Triceratops? All right, I gotta be honest. I think I'm in love. This game is kinda stupid and annoying, but the constant shift in setups and interacting with the dinosaurs more like really helps Seeds of Evil on the Game Boy kinda have an identity of its own. Like level 3 here is just kind of more of the same from earlier and from Battle of the Bionosaurs, but then the end of the stage unravels into this really cool segment where you're riding this canoe down a river and shooting alligators right in the face before they eat you. Is that not the most Turok thing you've ever heard of or what? And this continues over and over again. There's no real collectible to go back for and try to uncover like the Chronoscepter from the first game, so Seeds of Evil comes off less like a collectathon action platformer and more like a not collectathon action platformer. Since the level designers no longer need to create a maze-like experience with the intent of hiding key items away for the player to find, the stages are far more straightforward. In some ways, this makes everything incredibly less interesting, as we basically just hit the right arrow to win. In other ways though, you get to have these really fun pace breakers, like riding a raptor and shooting alligators in the face. And this continues with level 4. We spend an entire level's worth of time holding down right on the D-pad and shooting everything in sight, only to, at the end of the level, you have, what was it, is it a worm? Is it a giant worm? You know, there comes a time in every man's life where he just has to put his foot down and just say, what? It's about here that it would seem bit managers kind of ran out of gas. There aren't really any new fun experiences, but instead we get more of the first 4 levels, but in slightly different environments. It's not bad, like not at all, it's just more. Seriously, levels 5, 6, 7, and 8, I wrote a combined total of 0 notes down because nothing really happens. This is so much easier than Battle of the Bionosaurs, by the way. I don't know if the game is genuinely easier or if I'm just better since I played the first one already. There are 2 difficulty modes this time around, but while enemies seem to do more damage, I didn't actually notice much of an increase in struggle at all between the 2. Once you hit your stride and fall into that flow state, everything in Seeds of Evil just kind of falls over and dies. Even the ending just kind of happens. We were told in the first level that Josh here needs to stop the Amaranthine Accordance from using a supercomputer to breed a massive dinosaur army from the Lost Land. What that means? Well, we have absolutely no idea until the final stage, level 9. This is an insanely short level, where you just kill this one guy, and then shoot the incubation chamber, and bam. The game is done. We roll credits, and we're all wrapped up. Except, that's the bad ending. Yeah, so there's a hidden ending actually, which is just kind of awesome that this even exists. If you don't kill the enemy in that final level, he'll actually inform you that there's a secret path to the supercomputer itself. By crouching on every single pixel in the level, because you have to be exactly pixel perfect to enter the damn tunnel, you'll find a hidden pathway to where you can destroy the supercomputer first, and then destroy the incubation chamber, and save the day. Doing it this way stops the supercomputer from being able to use the biological information it already obtained because, well, you just destroyed it, so obviously it can't do much anymore. This gets us the good ending, and Turok 2 Seeds of Evil on Game Boy Color is officially wrapped up. we've killed some time. Let's see how my little plant is doing it. Oh, is that a little butt sticking out? Is that a little Turok butt I see? I think I'm just ready to pick. All right, let's go ahead and get this baby loose. Well, that was a little ominous, but screw it. I waited an extra year for this. I'm not stopping. I'm popping this baby in, and I am playing Turok 2. It doesn't even need to be anything special. It just needs to be Dinosaur Hunter, but more. More levels, more weapons, more cool, crazy enemies. Just that, please. Wow. That was really good. And also, Turok 2 Seeds of Evil almost feels like the still growing but more confident older brother of Dinosaur Hunter. The ideas are all much more fleshed out. The design is both toned back where it needed to be and also over-designed in other spots. It has a ton more edge to it. I mean, hell, even the Iguana isn't putting up with any of the BS this time around. Dude, I love this iguana so much. No joke. This is definitely something I just don't see in games anymore. I miss it so much. I think what excites me most about covering the Turok series is seeing the unfolding plot of Iggy over here. I hope nothing bad happens to the poor guy. What? Why did you cut back to me? Oh no. No, please tell me something bad doesn't happen to him.
The elders of the Lost Land, known as the Lazarus Concordance, have charged me with the task of guiding you on your quest to stop the Primogen.
Oh, hey! We're actually told the plot this time. That's kinda nice. So, the basic rundown is that we have to save the universe? Wait, what? So, oh, wait a minute, hold on. So we've gone from running around a jungle, stabbing people, to preventing the collapse of space-time? Honestly, this is so stupid. I love it. Like, seriously, this absurdity is exactly what Dinosaur Hunter excelled at, and yeah, I want more obnoxious. I want more over-the-top nonsense. I want to stop this Primogen guy from destroying the universe. Except, I actually kind of feel bad for the guy. The basic story is that the Primogen wanted to witness the creation of the universe, which, yeah, like, that's a pretty awesome thing to do, right? His traveling back in time that far created this weird space-time ripple that created the Lost Land, which, you know, yeah. Oops. To keep everything from imploding, these energy totems were created to seal the Primogen in a prison, and he's now attempting to raise an army so he can be released from that seal. However, him coming out of the prison could destroy all of creation. I mean, honestly, it just sounds to me like this guy is less of a villain and more like a brother who drew short straw. He just got a little ambitious and unlucky. Hashtag Primogen did nothing wrong. Oh, this is a very different first level, huh? No jungle. I mean, we still have dudes and dinosaurs, thankfully. Oh, but the music. Ooh, it's like way less atmospheric and more kinda video gamey. At first I wasn't sure, but I think I kinda love it. Also, apparently we have to activate some distress beacons and rescue some kids? Yeah, apparently Joshy Boy over here is more of a do-gooder than Talset in the original. By the way, damn! This game looks so much better than the original. I know the footage you're seeing here is the remastered version, but even then you can clearly see that Nightdive Studios had so much higher quality assets to work with than Dinosaur Hunter. Especially if you look at the original games side by side, it's such a substantial jump. If you play on the N64 original, the game also supports the expansion pack, but it doesn't require it. The memory expansion cartridge essentially increases the resolution, and it's incredibly noticeable though, and it's worth using the expansion pack. Alright, so I found all of the distress beacons, But I can't find this last kid. Where are you? I've looped around this level at least 3 damn times and I can't locate them to save my life. Oh, and I already tried to just leave the kid behind and move on to the next level, but nope. It sends you back to the beginning and tells you to basically figure it out, buddy. There's also this collectible that I can't seem to reach, but it looks like I need some sort of super jump or something. This level is pretty big too. For a first stage, it's definitely showing off some increased production that the studio put into it. That extra year of time wasn't for nothing. The scope of the game just increased and increased over time. Dinosaur Hunter was such a massive success for Iguana and Acclaim that they were willing to throw absolutely everything into a sequel. A game that was bigger, basically double the length and runtime, looked better than most games on the console, and even included a multiplayer mode. This was proving to be something incredibly huge for the developer, the publisher, and even Nintendo. The hype around Turok 2 was so large that in an interview with project manager David Deinspear, he even recalled how Nintendo executives were asking about Turok's development, specifically since the original had pushed the console in so many ways. While the development time was quite long for the time, please don't remind me. A whole year, guys, a whole year! The effort was met with incredible success. Turok 2 didn't just sell better than expected, but substantially so. Paul Eibler, executive vice president and general manager of Acclaim at the time, mentioned Turok 2 Seeds of Evil is the largest Nintendo 64 launch in the history of Acclaim. Despite an aggressive forecast, shipments still did not meet the incredible demand for the product. And this wasn't something exclusive to North America either. The EU was also gobbling up copies left and right. The sell-through to date across Europe has been excellent, with many retailers reporting a total sellout situation. Finding the actual number of units sold is actually a bit difficult. I've tried finding copies of earnings calls where it was announced, but I can't find any specifics. If you do search around, the number you'll see time and time again is 1.4 million units. That number is incorrect, and potentially a gross undercount. That 1.4 million number that everyone reports and claims is the total sales number all derives from a single statement made by Acclaim. Well, that statement was that their original shipment of 1.4 million units worldwide had sold out. That statement was also said less than a month after the game's release. So all of these charts and articles claiming Seeds of Evil sold 1.4 million units total, it should actually say 1.4 million units in 30 days. Wow! To further boast about the sales, in the UK, during that Christmas holiday of 1998, it actually outsold Ocarina of Time, of all things. A game that's heralded as one of the greatest ever made, and only came out 2 weeks before Turok 2 did. Ocarina, by the way, ended up selling over 7 million copies. Sure, Zelda has the staying power that a franchise like Turok just doesn't, so yeah, like, Ocarina selling 7 million copies and Turok 2 outselling it on a holiday season doesn't necessarily mean that I think Turok 2 sold even more than 5 million units. The point is, that 1.4 million number is incredibly low. In all seriousness though, if anyone does find the real number, please tell me. Please let me know somehow. I have spent so much time, I've spent far too long trying to find the real number and I've come up with nothing. Please help me. You would think that with the incredible success of this series, that Iguana founder Jeff Spangenberg would be a golden child for Acclaim. Except for the fact that Acclaim fired him months before Turok's 2 release. Wait, what? Why? The details seem to be mostly hidden behind a settlement, but wow, so odd. Spangenberg, why does that name ring such a bell? Oh, here's that stupid brat! Almost an hour of searching and we can finally finish this level. Ugh. Alright, well, each stage ends with Retro Studios. Jeff Spangenberg founded Retro Studios. That's right. Yeah, so after he actually got let go by Acclaim, he went and founded his own studio and recruited like half of the Iguana Entertainment staff to start on a new project. To get themselves, you know, started and to get the ball rolling, they made a small little project, something to just kind of move along, a little game called Metroid frickin' Prime. Each stage ends with you needing to defend these energy totems from a bunch of enemies. Nothing crazy, like just a brief little horde mode here. It's over within a matter of like 20 seconds, but it does feel like a good form of finality to the stage, since you'll typically encounter a bunch of mobs that you fought through the level to make it to the end. Alright, we're off to level 2 and...
Slaughter by the River of Souls. The River of Souls. The very name strikes fear into the hearts of men.
Oh. So each area has its own little sub-story? That's kind of cool, except, On
the very shores of the deadly river.
Can you speak up, please? Yeah, right into my good ear, thank you. There is nothing more annoying than bad audio mixing, man. Kinda like how in seemingly every PC game, the main menu loads in blasting at 125% volume, only for the rest of the game to be totally fine. Jumping into level 2 and, it's kind of a bummer. It's just the same music as before. I was really hoping there was gonna be something special to this stage, because, well, if not, then this just kind of comes off as, whoa! I'm riding a Triceratops! I'm riding a Triceratops! And cannons! I got cannons! Mom, it's got cannons! I don't know if we're keeping a score and ranking the game or not, but like, that's 2 points. That's 2 free points. Oh, yeah. This is the ultimate power fantasy. This is the real male power fantasy. Even the enemies just run around in fear unless they have cover to hide behind, but nothing keeps them safe from me. Oh yeah, man, this is the, I mean, I knew it had to end sometime, but it's just too soon is all. Level 1 showed off the basic foundation of Turok 2 by giving us objectives, letting us play with some simple weapons, and letting us get completely lost for a bit. Level 2 slowly builds upon that premise. Well, except for the whole Triceratops thing. While the music stays the same for the most part, a lot of the amazing ambient sounds that made the original soundtrack work have returned in their own unique way. And speaking of unique, we're not only fighting dinosaurs, aliens, and mechs, but Seeds of Evil has the balls, the absolute audacity to bring specters and zombies. Whoa there, Turok, leave some creativity for the rest of us, please. Exploration this time feels significantly more meaningful, and hold on, I think I've been here before? Isn't this where no, I'm lost again. I feel like using the map is a bit of an admission of failure here, but I just gotta use it or else I'm never ever gonna progress here. Anyway, level 3. Pretty fun, straightforward, good challenge. Level 4. Give me a map, please, dear God, please give me a map! I have absolutely no idea where I'm going for like half of this level. Look, I try so hard not to use strategy guides when playing games, in general really, but especially for when I'm making some of these episodes. Like, I want the raw experience, you know? I want to get stuck where people get stuck, and confused where people get confused, and to get yelled at in the comment section for it, just like everyone else. But this, I almost did it. I almost looked it up because it's such an intense maze, and the level just doesn't want to end. But can I make something clear here real quick? I'm having fun. Like, seriously, I'm genuinely having so much fun so far. Sure, the addition of the objectives is a bit weird at first, especially when you get stuck finding a child of all things on level 1 for like an hour. But in my original episode on Dinosaur Hunter, I specifically praised the fact that the 3D platforming collectathon portion of the game is what made it stand out against titles like Doom, Quake, Wolfenstein, Duke Nukem, Heretic, Shadow Warrior, Unreal Tournament, and many more. Its excellent movement and gameplay was just a primer that everybody else had done. A glue that bound the whole thing together. But complex and secretive level design made sure that between the moments of animalistic primal carnage, you were still able to exercise your brain at least a little bit, to slow it down, to explore in a more methodical way. This ebb and flow is brilliantly explored constantly, and having the objectives be up front when you first spawn in really helps the player know what to look out for. Like in Dinosaur Hunter, you were looking for keys, but had no idea what to keep an eye out for beyond that. Like, thankfully, outside the Chronoceptor, there wasn't really any surprises. But if there were, we would have had absolutely no idea because absolutely nothing was told to you at all, ever. Seeds of Evil, on the other hand, primes the player with something to search for right out of the gate. Whether it's to find lost children, kill ghosts spawning portals from hell, or cleanse machines, there's always something immediately set up that we know we have to tackle. All in all, Turok 2 is genuinely Turok 1 plus. The new weapons are cooler, like the updated claws. Tech arrows now work slightly differently by sticking to targets and then exploding. The Shredder is a ridiculous shotgun that shatters and the debris from the shells bounces off the walls, hitting everything in your way. The Scorpion launcher is a more refined quad rocket launcher. The Firestorm cannon is an updated plasma-based minigun. Oh, and the Cerebral Bore might just be the best thing ever. I would describe it, but just watch. Yeah, how do you top that? All in all, Turok 2 might feel slightly less free given the mission objectives, but in every other way is a straight up improvement over the original. That is, except for, oh, excuse me for just a moment. Hello?
Really?
I'm sorry, have we met before?
You're really going to take a bag of something called seeds of literal evil from a homeless guy and not pay me?
Oh, shoot. Yeah, my bad. Maybe I can, no, don't eat that.
At least Bobby Kotick flipped me off and told me to get a job. I got nothing from you.
Look, I'm sorry, I just don't have any cash.
I take Venmo.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Great. Hey, thanks.
Yep, looks good.
Cool. Sorry, by the way.
Don't be sorry to me. You're the idiot who bought the seeds after I told you the final wish would be the opposite of what you asked for. Don't choke on an amiibo.
Okay. All right. Where was I? Oh, that's right. Turok 2 is basically an improvement over Dinosaur Hunter in, like, every way. Except for level 4. Oh, man, this is where the real key difference between Dinosaur Hunter and Seeds of Evil shows itself. Level 4. I absolutely hate this stage. It should be cool. It should be awesome. But there's such a massive difficulty spike, and where I'd only really died maybe once or twice before this, I think I blew like 8 lives on this stage alone. The enemies are so tough, and they're actually really smart too. I also have absolutely no idea where I'm going, ever. I've been wandering through this damn stage for like an hour now, and have no idea if I'm heading in the right way. Oh, and all of these stupidly tiny creatures constantly just makes you take hits that you really shouldn't. I can't hit half of them either, like come on. As everybody knows, the way you spell fun is F-U, and anybody who thought that this was a good idea. And when does this level end? It just keeps going and going and going. Dinosaur Hunter's levels could be maze-like at times, sure, but their smaller size kept that dreaded feeling of being lost at bay. This is where the map no longer feels like a fun new quality of life improvement to the sequel, but a damn necessity of navigation. This level is so long and so confusing to move through. I never know if I've been in a place before. Is this the right path? Oh, nope. Whoops. Okay, maybe is this the right path? No, of course not. It's the same path that I've gone down 7 times now because everything just looks the damn same. Like, it looks cool, but it's the same. And it's still going on. Thankfully, the gunplay and movement is as fun as ever because I think that this whole thing, this whole level, was a really cool idea and a mistake. Like, I actually do appreciate the big difficulty jump near the end of the game, and I do enjoy that the level design is so complex, but this is the most dense and complex level in the entire series to this point. Yeah, and that includes the next level, which we're about to hit, which is a stage that is designed to be a complex maze in order to get intruders lost in. This is worse than that. It's just brutal in that, like, Dark Souls 2, you're really annoying me kind of way. And I think we're finally at the end here at least. And oh, and we have a boss. Okay, I know how to do this. Just move and shoot, move and shoot. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, actual mechanics? I can't just circle and shoot. Look, I have to slow down and aim? Yeah, it's nothing incredible, but you actually do have to kill the tentacles, clear out the ads as they spawn, and then hit this sphincter-looking thing, clean up more ads, and yeah, it's actual boss mechanics. Again, it's nothing special, but it's the most complex Turok boss I think we've had so far. Oh, another boss. Hey, oh, okay, so this requires some real precision too. We gotta hit certain parts of its body, which is way harder than you might think. Oh, and this thing is aggressive. It never lets up coming at you. Oh, I love this because it requires you to slow it down and risk taking it a little, a hit here and there in order to line up the shot. What a wonderful contrast from the constant run and gun that the rest of the experience has. After a few attempts, it goes down, and I genuinely feel like a better shot. I don't just feel glad I beat a boss, but I feel more confident in my aim as a whole. That's kind of awesome. It's a shame that such a good boss, and honestly such a good game, has this extremely, exhaustingly long level. Like, who wants to play through this multi-hour stage that just doesn't have the variety that the others have? This is yet another case where the scope may have gotten out of hand when way less could have been way more. It's just such a time commitment, and while the remaster is pretty lenient on when you can stop and continue, the limited saves and checkpoint system only makes it worse on the original N64. It's almost as bad in time wasting as watching one of my own videos. I mean, really, who wants to watch hour-long retrospective episodes with some random guy rambling incoherently in the background? And that's why Pikachu is actually a chicken. See, the thing is, Turok 2 was in quite an interesting predicament. The genre it was in was nothing new. We'd been around the block quite a few times on this in the industry. The success of Dinosaur Hunter helped a lot, yeah, but now do you do the same thing, but larger in scope? Do you try something more unique and maybe alienate some players? Or, I don't know, there's actually a lot of options here. Sure, it was on a console which was slightly less competitive at the time, but Seeds of Evil was in quite an odd place, where it was equally in the best and worst position a new series could be in. Honestly, I get this conundrum. It's a weird spot. Creativity, scale, uniqueness, just more of the same but better? Which do you choose, and when do you pivot? The folks over at Iguana Entertainment were probably enjoying themselves making the game inspired by other titles that they loved, but would others like that too? I think about stuff like this a lot, mostly because introspection is something I do far more than what's clinically considered healthy. What even is a Zerbraxy? But seriously, I get it. I love what I make with these episodes, and a large chunk of that is because I love watching similar things to what I make. The likes of King K and Liam Triforce are huge inspirations to me in the video game retrospective scene. The way that they weave their own experiences into incredibly thought-provoking questions on game design and personal impact of art is jaw-dropping. People like James Rolfe, H Bomber Guy, and Total Biscuit have been huge influences on my style, humor, and my critical love of the medium. Creating something similar is natural to me because it's something I already feel comfortable engaging in. But therein lies the problem. There's similar stuff already out there. Why bother watching my crap? What new things can I provide to the space? Does sprinkling in more jokes and gags make a difference? It actually usually just gets me called a Scott the Woz ripoff. Does being more upbeat and high energy create a unique enough experience that it might at least be different enough to supplement what's already out there? This awkward contemplation very much seems like where Turok 2 was. Dinosaur Hunter was great. Success was happening and things were doing well. But there's some things you can't ignore as a creative. If you just do the same thing again but more, then that's great for the diehard fans, but who new is going to join? Why bother buying Turok 2 at full price when you could just get Dinosaur Hunter used for cheap and just, I don't know, maybe borrow it from a friend if it's just going to be the same fundamental experience? You could go the route of adopting some new ideas from others in the hopes of providing a more broad piece of content. Yeah, I mean, how about a multiplayer mode, for example? It means it will take significantly longer to get the final result at the door, but the increased broad appeal might lure in some more wandering eyes. Or do you just lean heavier into a small few bits of what worked? Do you become more 3D collectathon, less platformer, and just iterate on the shooting? Is that enough? I really do wonder if part of Turok 2's incredibly lengthy development cycle stems from this creative problem. See, the more and more you work on something to make it more and more unique, the more and more you have to make, which then makes you feel compelled to spend more and more time crafting and refining that thing to make it more and more better. And then now that there's more and more that could go wrong, the more and more you still work on it, and it just creates this constant feedback loop that can be so exhausting. I mentioned at the start of covering Seeds of Evil that I appreciated that we were finally getting some real plot conveyed to us, but I actually think I have to take that back a little bit. You see, Dinosaur Hunter told us nothing, and if you don't have the manual, you would have absolutely zero idea of what the heck was going on. Seeds of Evil, on the other hand, tells you everything out in cutscenes, which are very impressive for the time, but very much remove any amount of environmental storytelling that could exist. I've ranted about this a lot, as, well, anybody who's watched the channel knows. I think there's a middle ground to be struck here, where the environment and level design can convey the narrative without the need for an actual narrator. Super Metroid did this in the past, and other games, such as Metroid Prime and the Souls series, would do this again in the future. I'm not against narrative storytelling at all, but video games are special. In film, the secret is show, don't tell. When it comes to video games, the interactivity adds a cheat code to the player, and embracing a more play, don't tell model is a constant success in games that are often heralded as the greatest ever made. I bring all of this up because the plot behind Turok 2 is serviceable, but the studio's desire to show off their cinematic prowess removed any chance for the player to cleverly piece together the story themselves. Gone is the chance for a real aha moment, and because of that, the plot gets in the way instead of servicing the gameplay as a whole. While I do genuinely believe that Seeds of Evil is a better overall experience, there are some design differences that just bum me out is all. For example, in the original you would travel around the maps, and if you were clever enough, you'd stumble upon a piece of the Chronoscepter. It was a reward granted to any player clever and adventurous enough that granted you an incredibly powerful weapon at the end of it. Completing the game 100% was an achievement based on wit and skill. Seeds of Evil has something similar. You can find portals to a place called Oblivion, where you have to fight some incredibly powerful enemies. It's a small little area that, when completed, you unlock a piece of a nuke. Collect all the pieces, and you unlock a super powerful item called the nuke. Essentially, this game's Chronoscepter, or BFG, if you will. However, there's another set of collectibles: feathers and talismans. Throughout the game, you'll find little platforms that have symbols on them that you can't do anything with. To activate the effects of these platforms, you need the corresponding talisman. You can get one in each level, but to do so, you have to find the hidden feather in that stage. Find the feather, and then you need to explore deeper in order to find a hidden chamber that actually grants you the talisman with some specific ability. This in itself is pretty fun and really enhances the 3D collectathon aspect of the experience. On a personal level, I legitimately think that embracing the puzzle platformer side of the game was the right call to help differentiate Turok from its contemporaries, and it really helps it stand out as something truly unique, even by today's standards. Alright, this is way too much positivity in one section. Where's the sucky part? Okay, yeah, there's one major misstep with this new talisman and feather system, and that's with an entirely different collectible: the Primogen keys. Are you ready for this? So, in order to 100% a level, you need to find a secret path to find a feather. After you have the feather, you have to solve certain hidden puzzles in order to unlock the chamber to a talisman. Once you have the talisman, you now have a new power which you can use to activate those runes on the ground. Hidden behind the use of the runes are Primogen keys, which you need to collect from every single level in order to unlock the true final boss. Not too bad, right? Well, what if I told you that each level's Primogen key can't be acquired your first time through a stage? That would be pretty stupid, right? Well, that's how it works for 4 of the 6 keys. The key that the Port of Adia holds requires the Leap of Faith talisman, which is from the River of Souls. The key in the River of Souls requires the Breath of Life talisman, which is in the Death Marshes. The key in the Death Marshes actually can be acquired by the same Breath of Life talisman you get in the same stage, so thankfully at least one level got it right. But then the key in the Lair of the Blind Ones requires the Whisper talisman from the Hive of the Mantids, and then the level 5 key requires the feather from level 6, the Primogen's Lightship. The final level's key requiring every talisman up to this point at least makes sense. But why do it this way? Everything about unlocking these things through exploration and wit is completely removed once you have to start backtracking through levels with secret items being tied to unlocks. It just adds a layer that only wastes time. It doesn't make you feel clever at all. But then, as if to counter every single point I just made, level 5 is great, and then there's level 6. The Primogen's Lightship is one of the best final levels of any N64 game I've played. It's the perfect culmination of absolutely everything about Turok 2. The range in enemy encounters is amazing, as some require speed, some brute force, some the right weapon, and others, like the turrets, require you to slow down and aim carefully. The general level design in Turok 2 is pretty maze-like overall, and the Primogen's Lightship extrapolates everything that earlier levels might not have had the chance to explore. If you look at a map of the level layout, it looks like this is made up of like 10 entirely different stages. And that's because to some degree it is. The core hub branches off into 4 directions, with each route having multiple unique mechanics, clever puzzles, more verticality than ever before, and a plethora of hidden passages that require intense attention. It almost feels like this level and every wing is like every other level design idea that just couldn't get put somewhere else. So they threw it all into this, and it almost feels like this big trial of sorts at the end of the game. And it works wonderfully. The pacing here is just perfect. Enemies hit hard enough to be scary, but health is always available, but like not a ton, so you never really feel like you're at full health, but yet you don't ever feel like you're quite gonna die either if you're playing well. It's the perfect center point on a pendulum. Getting lost, too. You will get lost in this level, for sure. No doubt. But because each portion is so bite-sized, you will never wander aimlessly for long. It's more like going down the wrong road in a city and just hopping one block over to get back on track. As long as you're looking around and not just asleep at the wheel, you'll get back there. Eventually, you'll hit the endpoint and face off against the final boss named Mother. Oh dear lord, that thing is gross. Ugh, yeah, this thing deserves to be put out of its misery. Alright, let's just make sure to shoot it in the limbs. Not too bad, I've done this before. That previous boss prepped me for this pretty well. Oh, we can swing now? And there's ads? And there's falling rocks? And it sucks you like Andros? Just keep focusing, okay, we just gotta keep focusing. We gotta keep firing. We gotta do it the Turok way. Just load it with bullets and we'll be all set. What? What is it now? This thing just doesn't let up. Having to keep up with all the ads here, to watch out for the attacks on the center, and still have to worry about Mother's moving? Oh, this makes me want to deep dive into some good boss design and scripting ideas, but I have to hold that for another time. After quite a long and exhilarating fight, Mother is beaten, and oh. Very unlike Turok, the boss doesn't explode or die brutally. It just runs away and retreats into its hole. I wonder if Mother is less of like an actual evil force and more of a victim of the Primogen's actions that just so happens to be strong and in the way. Ugh, that's so sad if that's true. See, it's these types of moments, these bits of contemplation that aren't explicitly told to you, that makes environmental storytelling so much better. This is the stuff I love. Like, we can have a conversation about that now. It's so much more interesting. And that's it. That's Turok 2 Seeds of Evil for the Nintendo 64. Overall, what we have here is far more than what was in Dinosaur Hunter. The campaign is basically double the length, the guns feel even more creative, the level design is expanded far beyond the scope of the original, and yeah, like, honestly, all in all, it's definitely a huge step up as a sequel. While I do think that some of the music and atmospheric sound effects of the original were slightly better some of the time, in other levels, I think Seeds of Evil expands upon it perfectly and surpasses Dinosaur Hunter. I do think that the pacing and pathing to completing the Primogen Key collection is a step down from the Chronoscepter, but that's about it, and even then there's the nuke as kind of a more direct alternative. It's a shame because it does feel like a lot of wasted time where the original just never once had that feeling, but that everything else is so good, so it's really not that big of a deal in hindsight. Every piece of this puzzle of a game is such an improvement that you can tell the extra year of development was packed with creativity and hard work. And despite what could have potentially been an awkward development cycle with the CEO of the company being removed, you would have never known there was professional drama happening in the background, giving the complete and wonderful project that this turned out to be. Sadly, it meant that they missed their window of releasing in Turoktober, their name, not mine, but all in all, that extra year was totally worth the wait, is what some people have said. I'm still not happy about it. One of the largest reasons for the delay was actually the introduction of multiplayer. Honestly, this is something that I really wanted to talk about a bit more since I had loads of fun with the multiplayer when I was younger, but I'm gonna actually save the multiplayer discussion for another entry in the game series coming up. What I can bring up for now is that Turok 2 project lead David Dinespear explicitly called out GoldenEye when they were developing the multiplayer mode for Seeds of Evil. Basically, every issue they had with GoldenEye, they were hoping to fix in the final product, and as a whole, it's definitely much more content-rich and a much more fleshed out experience for sure. Also, have you seen how cool some of the cheats are for Turok? I regret not pointing this out in the first episode of the series, but take a look at some of these. We have classics like Big Head Mode, which will always be a favorite of mine no matter what game it's in. We also have this like psychedelic looking one that's just wild. Oh my god, wait. Is this a cheat for big hands and feet? Like, who thought of that? Oh, and this pen and ink looking mode is really fun. It feels like you get a little glimpse into the real geometry of the game. I always love these kind of wireframe type mods.
Super hot.
This is real. This is actually real. This isn't a mod. It's an unlockable cheat code for the Turok 2 remaster. How amazing is this? The fact that a cheat making the game look like Superhot exists is pretty cool in and of itself, but this isn't just cosmetic, it actually turns the game into a Superhot clone, with the movement, the physics, the time mechanic, just like the actual Superhot game itself. I miss cheat codes in games so damn much. The N64, PS1, and Saturn era of games, they were the king of this, and I think I just crave this again in modern games. Additions like this show off the creativity of the designers and developers, but it also just feels so, well, fun. It's just fun. It's raw, stupid, totally unnecessary, but incredibly enjoyable fun. I think a Turok 2 retrospective is the wrong place to deep dive into this discussion, but there really is something to say about when an art form doesn't take itself too seriously. By being able to goof around and have a good time with the player, it really humanizes the experience. I don't know, maybe it's just nostalgia kicking in, but this Super Rock cheat just really hit me. It just made me smile. I love it. There is one thing I'm still wondering about though. I spent all that time complaining and hunting for the Primogen keys. What are they for? So, Turok 2 Seeds of Evil has 3 potential endings. There's the base one, after you finish your encounter with Mother. And then there are 2 more, tied to the true final boss. If at the end of any stage you didn't successfully defend an energy totem, something that I didn't even know was an option, then you'll be told that the Primogen will return. However, if you successfully protect all of the totems and have access to all 6 Primogen keys, then you can get the true ending itself. What we have here is a true culmination of everything Turok 2 has taught the player. We have this nice, big arena with a really futuristic design, unlike what we see from a lot of the game to this point. Is he just going to the control panel and just throwing bombs and enemies at me? The jerk! I just spent all that time getting the stupid feathers and the talismans and you're just gonna go up there and throw crap at me like I'm not even worth your time? Oh, and ow! Oh, these things hurt! Oh, okay, you gotta clear these babies out, and oh, no, oh, now you're gonna come fight me? Alright, yeah, let's do this. Let's settle this once and for all. Oh, okay, yeah, he flies. Yeah, of course he flies. After some persistence, we finally get that health bar down, and yeah, it's a pretty cool fight, and wait, hold on, is he flying back to that stupid little console? Oh, we're still going? Oh, shoot, oh, there's more ads. Oh, there's more bombs now, too. Oh, okay, so it looks like we're gonna be doing this a few times then. And alright, here we go. He's back down, and I know what to do now. I did this once before, and he has some new attacks and all that hurt way more, but that's okay. He's also using way more of his flight this time around, almost as if he's getting smarter and better at fighting me. This really pushes you to find the balance between moving fast and still trying to execute very precise shots, which you need to do in order to hurt him. He's no joke. He's definitely one of the harder N64 bosses out there, but this is also one of the coolest final boss fights I've ever played on an N64 game. I know I said something similar about Mother, but nah, she's out, Primogen is in, baby. I love the fact that it's basically just his face that's a weak spot. Not only is it kind of hilarious because you have to quite literally shoot him in his ugly face to deal damage, but one, it requires precision on behalf of the player, and when he's flying around the air, that is incredibly difficult and super rewarding when you do land a shot. But also two, you have to put yourself right in front of the boss, thus forcing you to enter a place of vulnerability in order to deal damage. This essentially removes the potential for any safe spots and turns every attack into a moment of anxiety. Link that moment with the amount of damage he can do with any strike, and yeah, this fight's tough. The strategy I used for him personally, I found on GameFAQs. It said, keep your HP above 0 and hit every shot.
The Primogen has been destroyed, Turok. The combined energy from the totems has shattered his body and destroyed the last traces of his telepathic powers. The Omniverse is in your debt.
That's it. We did it. We beat him. I mean, I still think #Primogen did nothing wrong, but that's over. Seeds of Evil is done. And man, what a freaking great game! I know there were a lot of elements that I was a bit more critical on than Dinosaur Hunter. The exploration felt a little less natural, and the backtracking for the Primogen keys was a bit odd, but Turok 2 rocks. It owns, baby. Essentially every other element is improved upon, and we're gifted a game that feels better, plays better, looks better, sounds better, and basically has double the campaign length, and throws a multiplayer mode into the mix to boot. This is how you sequel. This is how to throw a 2 into a title. This is why Seeds of Evil is so often heralded as the best of the series and holds firm as the #1 rated Turok game on Metacritic. What a solid adventure. What a wild ride that expands upon the insanity of the lore, the level design, the enemy variety, and so much. While clearly not perfect in every way, it's an example to all sequels out there. It's proof that you don't have to reinvent the wheel on a sequel, that you don't need some crazy new gameplay gimmick. More of the same, just better, more varied, and just, well, more can be enough. Iguana clearly learned so much from the first game, and their experiences and efforts paid off wonderfully. The future of Turok single player is seemingly in good hands. I'm really enjoying them, and I'm looking forward to the next one. And if I could wish for one thing upon Seeds of Evil, it's that the next game has a single player campaign just even half as good as this. And I can't wait. All right, you all wait here. I'm gonna jump into the next one. Bye-bye! Oh, it looks like something's already growing. Oh, it looks like the next game. Screw that old guy. I was gonna get exactly what I asked for. Screw him. Come on. I'm just gonna pop this baby out and... Oh. Oh, it's... Oh, that smells like multiplayer.